Hey everyone, it's Keith Maxey here, and this is my channel, Power Up Personal Finance, where I get to talk about two of my favorite things, games and personal finance. So in my last video, I was talking about a friend of mine who has found himself to be quite deeply in debt. And unfortunately for him, he has to service this large debt. We're talking a five-figure debt, roughly around the Canadian average, which I hear is around $52,000. And we were talking about the different possibilities, the different strategies of how he can get himself out of debt. Now, first of all, I'm not a financial advisor. I keep telling him that. I'm just going to provide him different options and strategies that he can use, and it's up for him to choose how he wants to do it. One of the first things that we found out, though, that really needs to happen in order for him to kind of level the playing field. He needs to track every single dollar where it's actually being spent and what it's being spent on. Every dollar has to have a goal. And that goal is whether it's paying his rent, paying utilities, paying travel, transportation costs, whatever it is, he knows roughly how much he has to spend on those things. So that's great. He's got a budget. If you don't have a budget, I highly recommend that you go and just Google it. There's different budget strategies out there of how you can actually budget your money. There's envelope methods. There's the one where every dollar has to go out. You kind of treat it like a soldier is to go out and make more money, or every dollar has a job, so to speak. But regardless, that's not what this video is about. I just want to talk about debt reduction strategies. So having a budget is very important, though, and it is the number one requirement. You have to know how much you're spending and where you're spending it in order to determine how quickly you can get yourself out of debt. And by how much, how quickly, how soon, all that good information. So he's got a budget. He now is able to free up more of his money so he can actually start whittling away at the debt that he's actually accumulated. And I told him that really there's two different ways of tackling the debt in front of him. And I told him that there's a strategy called the Debt Snowball. This is where if you think of Snowball, where, we're in Canada. I remember going up to this one hill near my house when I grew up. I don't know, I guess we were trespassing. I didn't know who actually owned the property, but they had this wonderful hill, and we'd go on the hill, and every so often we'd make snowmen. And when you're rolling a snowball down a hill, it gets to the point where it's so heavy and you have so much momentum behind it, it starts rolling off on its own. If you're on the other end of that snowball, you are crushed by it. I've never had that happen to me, but I'm certain it probably has happened to some kid in Canada at some point. But the important thing is, this is the debt snowball. It starts small, it gets a little bit bigger, and you're making bigger and bigger payments all the time until it picks up so much speed, it just pays for itself. It's kind of like the reverse of compound interest in a way. And the way the debt snowball works is that you start by paying off your smallest debt first. So, for instance, I have here a handy little chart. All right, we got now I apologize if there's going to be any glare on this. I'm going to try to keep that out so you can actually read what it says here. So the debt snowball basically works like this. You're going to work on your smallest debt, in this case, $5,000, $10,000, and then $25,000. So we're in debt for $40,000 here in this example. So if I actually start by paying off this $5,000 debt first, what I'm doing is there's now an interest rate on each one. I have 12% here for this small debt, 29%. This is more like a store credit card. Maybe $10,000. I went out and bought a new bedroom set and a dining room set. I moved into a new house and needed brand new furniture. So if that's the case, maybe I use that store credit card or whatever they had available. And then here I have more of a traditional credit card, 19% for this $25,000 debt. So if each one of these, every single month, I need to pay the minimum amount of interest that's actually being charged on each one of these. So in this case, it's going to be a smaller amount with a small interest. So it's going to be very easy to service this debt compared to these two over here. But if I start by whittling away this debt first, just a little by little, all of a sudden I have less interest that I'm going to be servicing. And therefore, once I get through this, I'm going to have a nice big impact. I've paid off a $5,000 debt. Let's say I'm able to pay off $500 a month in about roughly 10 months. I'm not going to get into the math behind this because you still have your debt that you have to service. But let's assume we've serviced that minimum interest payment, and now we can pay an extra $500 a month. After we pay that $500, the next month I only have to service $4,500 of interest, or of debt, in interest costs. So my payment will actually be less, which means if I'm paying that $500, I can actually contribute that entire amount to the next month's payment. And then it picks up a little bit of speed. Every single month I'm lowering the amount of total debt. I'm lowering the amount of how much it costs to service that debt. And then I roll this up until the whole thing is just gone. Now, if I do that and I take all of the money, and I've been servicing these two debts the entire time here as well, I now have a huge boost, because not only do I have that $500 that I've been paying off every single month, but I also now have no interest here, no debt that I have to service, and therefore all of that interest that I would have been paying here can now be applied to the next debt. And you just keep repeating that over and over again until you wind up paying both of these debts. There we go. I got this. So if you're just slowly whittling that down, it goes faster. Now, I no longer have to service this debt or this one. So that might be, I don't know, a few $100s that I could actually be saving here on a monthly basis, like $100 in addition to the $500. Now I can actually put down $600-700, whatever I was paying in total for servicing these two debts plus the $500. It can now all be applied onto this final one. And now this is a huge way that you can speed up that process, and that is where the snowball comes into play. Now I'm going to put this down for a second. The way I look at debt, it's kind of like a fire-breathing dragon. Something big, powerful, vicious, mean. Something kind of like this. Now, a dragon, if it's attacking me, it's going to be using its claws. It might push me with its wings and give me a bit of an air blast and push me away. Might smack me with its tail. Might bite me, might burn me. There's so many different ways for a dragon to attack somebody. Now, this particular dragon, this one's cute and all, but if he burns me, all of a sudden, this dragon of debt, what he's doing is he's attacking me and causing lasting damage. Not only does that burn hurt, but it's going to continue on and make things, maybe my armor catches on fire, my clothing catches on, and all of a sudden, I'm going to have a hard time. Now, he's not really looking much like a dragon, say, in Skyrim, but this is the type of thing that we have to worry about with dragons and with debt, is that it's an ongoing, everlasting damage until we actually deal with it. And the way we deal with it is by putting out that fire or paying off our debt. There is a faster way of paying off your debt. Now, the debt snowball strategy is great because you have a small debt, you can pay that off, and then you go on to the next larger debt, right? You have $5,000 in our example, then you have $10,000, then you have $25,000. But there actually is a faster way, and it's if you track your budget of your debt on a monthly basis, on a regular basis, you can actually see more of an impact on this. Now, the debt snowball strategy is great if you want to have a quick sort of psychological impact, and you feel that great sense of relief. Hey, wow, I don't have $5,000. I've gotten rid of that whole thing. Now I only have two other ones in front of me. There's another way to actually do this, and that's called the Debt Avalanche. So the Debt Avalanche is going to be very similar. You're going to be taking your debt. You still need to make additional payments. And just need my handy rag here, Kleenex. But you still need to make sure that you're paying off your debt. You still have all of your 3 debts that you're servicing, and we're using the exact same example here. But in this case, we're going to start instead with our largest debt, which is over here. We're going to be focusing on our largest interest payment. And the reason why is that the cost of servicing this level of debt is going to be much more than even this one or this one. So by focusing on this one, and we can get this down $500 all of a sudden, that's a higher percentage that we don't. Before, for the 5,000, it was at 12% over here. But over here, it's at 29%. If we can pay off this debt first, it makes a huge difference because we have that much less debt to service. And so the month over month accrual of interest on this is going to be less. And so as we get by, all of a sudden, it'll speed up right at the end because every dollar that you're spending on servicing the debt is going to go back into this in addition to the amount that you're paying it off. And then you roll that into the next highest one, 19% in this case. And by being able to do this, again, you're going to snowball, or not snowball, avalanche. You're going to have an avalanche. It's going to go away even faster. And then by the end, this is going to be so fast to pay off. It's going to be much faster. You'll be saving months of time, depending on how much you're able to pay. In our case, let's say $500 a month. You're still going to pay much less overall for servicing your debt, and you're going to pay it off faster. So that debt avalanche strategy is by far an amazing, powerful tool. It may not have that same psychological impact where you get something off of your plate, off of your mind, off of your back, but it will allow you to have that. If you're tracking every dollar that's going out, you'll see you're paying off your debt much faster than through the snowball strategy. So those are the 2 strategies I wanted to talk about. This is what I've suggested to my friend. I'm waiting to hear back what he's going to be doing. But in the meantime, I really appreciate it. If you've ever had a debt before where you've used one of these strategies, I'd love to hear about it. If you can comment below, I'd love to know what you've done in the past with your own debts. Or if you have one right now, what you might actually be planning on doing. And I'd also like to remind everybody to please like this video. It would be great if everybody gave it a big thumbs up so that we can improve the YouTube algorithms to get the video out there, shared with more people. If you could actually share it with some friends, I'd also really appreciate that. We have a few subscribers now, so thank you very much to a lot of friends and family. Mostly friends, though, which is great because, I don't know, I felt a little embarrassed to share it with some of my family, I guess, but I'll get it out to them. And to remind everybody, I am gamifying this channel. So one of the things that I'm doing is that for every subscriber that I have to this channel, if you hit the big subscribe button and hit that little bell icon so that you can be notified when the next video is out, then what I'm going to be doing is depositing $1 into an investment account so that we can invest it and look at it together so you can see exactly the different types of strategies I use with my own investments and where that might actually lead you. In addition, if we grow that big enough and we share it around with a whole lot of people, I'd love to see other strategies that we can do, not only just investing in ETFs, stock market, but real estate. It would be a really fun way of sharing this. That's it from me. Thank you very much for joining me here on my channel today and talking about the debt avalanche, the dragon of debt, as I like to think of it. It is a powerful beast. It is one that is always lurking around the corner. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Until next time.